my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome to my channel. And it is that time, or at least around that time of year again, to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So that is what we are going to be doing today, and then I will name my reading stats for the mid-year afterwards. I will have the original creators of this tag linked down below in the description, as well as the content warnings for all the books that we are going to be talking about today that I can find, and also some resources. And with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting with my best book of 2025, and I am nowhere near ready to make this decision, so I'm kind of going to not. But I will say right now, I think it's between A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Littlebadger and Redemptor by Jordan E. Fuego. And for manga, it is definitely between Gachiakuta and The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. Now, the best sequel that I read in 2025, that is definitely Redemptor. I haven't read a ton of sequels, and by that I mean I actually do think it is just Redemptor. But Redemptor is a sequel to one of my favorite books that I read in 2021, and I just loved finally returning to these characters and the world and also the story. Like, I was fully invested in this book, and it was like I got to fall in love with this series all over again. A new release that I haven't read yet but want to, and that is A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. It is a beautiful and stunning book. Elizabeth Lim is one of my favorite authors, and I'm not actually entirely sure what this book is about, but I am sure that there is a beautiful story in here, because there usually is with this author. So I realized post-filming that my answer for my most anticipated release for the second half of the year actually doesn't come out till 2026. So instead of that, we are going to go with The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches was one of my favorite books that I read last year, and this one actually does come out in 2025, and I expect it to be cute and cozy and magical and wonderful overall. As for my biggest disappointment, I think I'm going to go with Upright Women Wanted for this one. I feel like the description of this book promised a lot, and I don't really feel like it went deep enough into it, and also the setting. But the runner-up, and actually maybe the one that I feel a little bit more strongly about, is unfortunately Love in Focus by Lila Lee, because I feel like this author's other books have such cute, adorable, lovely romances, and I just couldn't get into this one. But we'll save my more in-depth thoughts on this book for my June wrap-up, since at the time of filming this, it is one of my more recent reads, and I just haven't fully organized my thoughts or feelings on it yet. As for my biggest surprise, this is definitely going to Windbreaker, because I did not enjoy the first season of their anime for the most part. And yeah, I left that season pretty much hating them, but then I started reading the Windbreaker manga before season 2 came out to just give this series another chance. And I ended up really loving it and loving all of the characters, and now it's one of my favorite manga series that I'm reading. But if you told me from a year ago that this was going to be my new reality with this series, I would not have believed you, at all, but here we are. My new favorite author, I am going to go with Kay O'Neill for this. I read A Song for You and I, and also all 3 T-Dragon graphic novels. I just really love the art style so much, and the stories and the characters are so sweet and just so full of heart. A Snake Falls to Earth was also my second Darcy Littlebadger book, so I am also going to go with Darcy Littlebadger for this, since I also really like this author's first book as well. I also read Babel in the first half of the year, and that definitely really made me want to read more R.F. Kong books as well. Newest fictional crush, I don't really have anyone specific for this year, but I am going to name a relationship that I think could potentially be cool to have. And that is the main couple from Having an Idol-Loving Boyfriend is the Best. They seem to have a lot of fun together, and I like the way that they bond over their shared interests and fandoms. So yeah, I guess my answer for this is those two. Newest favorite character, and I will warn you, this is going to be a long list. Starting with everyone from The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, just all of them. Pen the Penguin from Penguin and House. I also can't really name anybody specifically from Gachiakuta yet, but there is some really strong group chemistry here that makes me feel like I love everyone here. They just have a really fun cast, and I just love this series as a whole. And then we have Nirei, Suro, Sakura, Umemiya, and Tsubaki from Windbreaker. Chani from Her Radiant Curse, our 2 main characters from The Moon on a Rainy Night. And finally, we have Sky from I'll Be the One, a book that made you cry. The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity has made me cry at multiple points due to cuteness, and Windbreaker has also made me cry a couple of times as well. And while Babel didn't necessarily make me cry physical, actual tears, it certainly left me with quite the feeling, and same with Mornings and Janine. And for a book that made me happy, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity is also my answer for this, but also A Song for You and I, and all of the T-Dragon books, Windbreaker, The Moon on a Rainy Night, and also I'll Be the One. Favorite book to movie adaptation, I have not watched any, so we are going to go with an anime adaptation, and I haven't read anything other than Windbreaker that has an adaptation that I've watched this year, so I guess my answer for this is Windbreaker Season too. But it has been a good season so far for the most part, and they also adapted my favorite storyline, and they did so incredibly well. The most beautiful book that I bought this year is once again Going to a Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. The cover is super pretty and shiny, and the edges are sprayed gold. And again, I'm sure it is equally as beautiful inside as it is out. What books do I really need to read before the end of the year? And my answer to that is really anything from any of my TBRs that I've set so far this year that I haven't gotten to yet. And I also really need to read Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. Okay, so that is the end of the tag, and now let's go ahead and move on to my mid-year reading stats, which I'm getting from Storygraph, and all of the graphs and charts and stuff that will be on the screen is all from there too. I've read 80 books so far this year, which means I am currently 11 books ahead of my reading goal of 150, and there are quite a few manga series to thank for that. But I have 23 star ratings, and my average rating is a 4.25 out of 5, which is actually higher than where I was mid-year last year at 4.19, which I am kind of surprised about. I thought that average rating was going to be lower for some reason, but I'll take it. My longest reading streak is 54 days in a row. My current reading streak is 9. That might end soon. My moods are mostly adventurous, emotional, and lighthearted. 53% of them have been medium-paced, 43% fast, and 4% slow. 84% of them are below 300 pages, 15% of them are in between 300 and 499 pages, and 1% of them, and by that I mean Babel, was above 500 pages. 96% of them have been fiction, and 4% of them have been nonfiction. My most read genre is by far manga, but it is followed by romance, LGBTQIA+, fantasy, and sports, which I guess is Windbreaker? Maybe that's sports? I guess in a way it is. I don't know. My total number of pages is never correct, so we're just going to ignore that. There's just a ton of manga that I haven't logged, and I also don't double check to make sure that the editions of everything that I do log are correct, with some exceptions, including audiobooks, which I have read 15 of this year. My most read author is Satoru Nii at 21 volumes, followed by Saka Mikami at 12. And overall, it's been a pretty decent reading year so far for me, but I would say manga is definitely carrying a majority of my positive feelings here. But yeah, we will see what the rest of the year holds. That is going to be all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!